All right, so let's talk a little bit about finding the right properties for Airbnb because you can't just buy a place in a cool spot and expect it to do good. I feel like I'm getting into this a little bit late, maybe not late, but where you can't just make money out of thin air on Airbnb like you could right after the post-COVID travel boom back in 2018, 2019. It seems like people were just throwing up Airbnbs, putting up crazy numbers, and they were just the most basic place. And I think it's just because, it was still kind of a new-ish thing. But people now are wanting more of an experience when they go to an Airbnb. You can't just put up a condo. I mean, you'll still get business, don't get me wrong, but there's getting to be so many now that it's hard to stand out, it's hard to rank in search, so your property may fall down to the wayside and never get looked at if you're not doing a few of these things that I'm about to show you in this video. So my name is Lucas Moe. I'm a 24-year-old Airbnb investor and manager. We currently have one property and we manage another as well. So I'm going to talk to you about a few things today about how to find the right properties for Airbnb. And there'll be a few things that we go over here. We're going to go over how to find the right market for Airbnb. Once you find that market, how to actually find the correct properties or the right properties in that market to go after. And then once you find a property that you think might work in a market that you like, how to run an investment analysis on that property to see if it's a good deal. So this might be a little bit lengthy of a video, but that's okay. So if you really want to know how to find the right properties, here I'm about to show you in as much detail as I can. So I'll be the first to say this is not an easy process. Finding the right properties, finding the right area to look in takes a little bit of time and a lot of thinking. So when you're looking for the right area to invest in, you want to look at a few things. You want to look at major cities, areas that people are already going to. Maybe that's something that you want to focus on. A big one right now, Nashville. A lot of people go there for bachelorette trips. They're going there year-round just because it's a big city that a lot of people are flooding to at all times of the year right now. Another might be something like Orlando, where you have Disney that draws a tremendous amount of people every year. So the first place to look is maybe in major cities. Another place to look is areas that are growing in tourism. Maybe something just opened up there. Maybe, this area might just now be getting some traction for some things it already had, and you're starting to see more and more about this area. That could be a good area to look to invest as well. Or maybe think about places that you would like to go and spend your time. You're probably not the only one that wants to go to that place, so that could be a good market to look in as well. This could also be areas that are close to national parks or scenic views. Places like Gatlinburg typically do well. There's a lot of places out west, toward Yellowstone, toward Zion National Park, things like that. Think about national parks when you're looking at that aspect. There could be some good opportunities there as well. Now, when I first started looking, a lot of my time was spent on Google. I would literally type in, best places to invest for Airbnb, top Airbnb rental markets 2023, and I read just many articles about where to invest, where to look, how to find the right markets. I did a lot of, Google was my best friend when I was looking for markets to invest in. The only issue with some of these is, you're not the only one reading these articles, and it's a good market for a reason. People have already gone there, found success. Not to say that these markets that are mentioned in these articles aren't good. They just might already be saturated with other people looking to invest there. But that's not to say that they're not a good option. And you also need to be looking in areas that you can afford to invest in. Obviously I'd love to have an Airbnb in Hawaii, but if you look at real estate prices in Hawaii, it's really hard to get in anything that isn't $600,000-$700,000, $1 million bucks. So obviously that's not even in the question for someone like me, whereas somebody else, that might be a possibility for you. But real estate prices in Hawaii are just absolutely ridiculous. But that being said, we knew we wanted to be on the beach somewhere. and we were looking for beach towns, and this is just a little bit of our experience with landing in Pensacola. We were looking for beach towns. If you look at a lot of beach towns, most of the real estate is pretty high because it's a beach town. People want to be there. Beachfront property is not cheap. But we landed on Pensacola because really the real estate prices aren't as high compared to other places, especially when you're looking a little bit off the beach, because our place isn't beachfront as much as I'd like it to be. But our place is probably 8 or 9 miles from the beach. So it's a little bit of a drive, but still easily accessible. Has great amenities, close to a lot of things. So not everybody's looking to stay right on the beach when they go to the beach. But I will say, if you aren't going to be on the beach like we are, you need to have other things that help you stand out. And that's what I'm going to go into right now, actually, is how to find the right property once you narrow down a market. But before I do that, I want to show you how to actually find numbers for a market that you're interested in. So you found a market that you think you like. You may want to go to yourself. You're seeing positive tourism numbers there, whatever it may be. This is how you field test that market. And I'm going to show you right now. It's a tool called AirDNA. So if you go to AirDNA, which I'm going to pull it up right now and show you here on my laptop. So I've got AirDNA pulled up right here. And this is a software that actually pulls all the data off Airbnb, their occupancy, what people are charging, how many listings there are. And this is actually just the free version right here because I don't need the paid version at the moment. The paid version does show you a lot more analytics of the area that you're looking to invest in. But I just wanted to show you kind of how you can get an idea of a market before you actually spend the money. I think it's $40 a month, for the actual premium subscription for an area, and that's just for a specific zip code. That's not the whole United States. So you want to narrow down a couple markets doing what I'm about to show you before you deep dive and get the premium subscription to AirDNA. But I'll show you how to do this. So we looked all over, like I said, when we were trying to find a market. One of the big places I looked was Savannah, Georgia. So I'll just show you here. You can go up here and you can just type into Google AirDNA and create an account and log in. But what you do, you type in the area that you're looking to possibly invest in, that you want to check out the numbers for it. So type in Savannah, Georgia, and all this comes up right here. So let me show you what you really need to be looking at when it comes to seeing if this is even worth it. So the first things you see right up here at the top right, you see your average daily rate. So this is going to be throughout the year, the average price per listing for the year. So if you total up all the listings and what they're charging per night, this is the average of that. So you can see average daily rate, $260 a night. You see in March is kind of the peak here. They're doing $280 a night, and January is kind of a low at $240 a night. So this is actually one of the smaller ranges I've seen on average daily rate. But that is in essence what average daily rate is. So going just to the right of that, you look at the occupancy rate. Now, you want to find a place that has a good occupancy rate. Anything below 50, I probably wouldn't put much thought into, because you need to have people staying there. There needs to be a decent amount of evidence that people are staying there. You see right here that January is 52% occupied, so that looks like the lowish part of the year. And then April is 83% occupied, obviously showing a busier time. And then the revenue here, and this is just going off of these last two numbers I showed you. This is the monthly revenue. So what they're doing, they're taking the occupancy rate, 71%, and I guess you would get 365 times 71%, whatever that number comes out to, and they multiply it by the average daily rate, and that's going to give you the yearly revenue, and then they're going to divide that by 12. So this is where you're seeing the 4703 for the average monthly revenue. So these three numbers right here are going to kind of be your baseline for determining if this is even something worth investing in. Does it have a good average daily rate? Does it have a good occupancy rate? And what's the revenue look like? So once you scroll down here, you can actually see a map of all the rentals in Savannah, Georgia. And it'll show you right here that there was 3,192 rentals. Most of them are an entire home. 89% of the rentals are entire places. Then you see right here that some are just private rooms. Maybe somebody rented out, a room in their house, whatever it may be. Or maybe it's just not a full place that you get to yourself. Maybe there's other people staying there. So if you scroll down a little bit more, you can see that, people mostly have these rented on both platforms, Airbnb and VRBO. And I mean, we have all of our properties listed on both as well. The more channels you have for people to see your property, obviously the better chances that it is of getting booked. And then you can see right here kind of the average of what people are putting on Airbnb. So the average rental size, 2.3 bedrooms. So most of these probably 2 and 3 bedroom houses. And they sleep 5.7 guests on average. So, 5 or 6 guests. Obviously, you're going to have listings that sleep 15. You're going to have listings that sleep 2. So this is just an average of those. And this is one thing that you really need to pay attention to as well, because if you're not investing in a place that's growing, I might shy away from an investment like that. So you can see the rental growth here, 9% quarterly. So you can see that it's constantly going up. That means there is rental demand, and people are actively investing in this market. And then you can scroll down even farther, and you're going to see that, you can see a lot more in detail, a lot more, amenities that people have. Not many people have a pool. Only 13% have a pool. 2% have a hot tub. But obviously everybody's got air conditioning because you're in the, humid Savannah, Georgia heat. Internet, parking, things like that. And you can go down here and see, even farther how much or how many days they're booked, how many days they're available, things like that. So, and then if you decide to get the free version or the paid version, you can see a lot more in detail. You can mess with this a lot more, and I can show you that in a different video. But I'll show you a little bit on what I saw when we looked in Pensacola, and how we determined that was going to be our market. So average daily rate, $241. You see, obviously July is the busy time. February is probably the low time. And then you see it kick back up right there at March, which is going to be like your spring break season. Occupancy rate, 68% on average. December going to be the lowest month at 41%. And then June, I would say June and July are going to be the highest month at 90% average. And then you see your monthly revenue here. So a big drop from July to January. So that's something that we haven't seen yet with ours, is we haven't gone through a winter yet. So Savannah and I haven't taken any money out of the operating account for ours. We're leaving everything in there just to make sure we have enough to cover for expenses throughout the winter time when it might be slow. You've done this with a couple of different areas, and you find areas that you like where the average daily rate is good, the occupancy rate is good. I would pick 3 to 4 good markets that you like and then you think you might be able to invest in. And like I said, pick areas that you might want to go stay yourself, because this is going to be your property, and that's part of what we did with ours. Is we used a second home loan to buy it in Pensacola because my parents lived there. We might want to stay there some, and we definitely stayed there while we were fixing it up. So pick a place, and you don't have to, but I might encourage you to do it. Pick a place that you could see yourself going as well. Because like I said, this is your property too. Now the next thing you want to do is step number 2, which is actually finding the property once you've narrowed it down to a market. So this can take a while. It took me about 2 or 3 months to find the right property. But the first thing I did is I looked on Airbnb to see what properties were doing good. I knew I couldn't afford to invest right by the beach, so I had to look a little bit off the coastline, look at those properties, the ones that were performing well. and see what they had that was making them outperform their competition. So I want to show you what that looks like on Airbnb when it comes to actually researching the market on Airbnb. So this is exactly what I did right here. I went to Pensacola, and then I just kind of set it out a few months in advance so I knew that more listings would be open. So let's just pick a slow time. I'd say middle of the week in January is probably going to be good. Let's say 6 guests, and let's just take a look and see what comes up first. So, wow, there's really, surprisingly, there's really not that many that show up. Let's get off the coast a little bit. I think that would probably help us some. There we go. Adjust this map a little bit. So let's see, what are these properties doing? This is actually one of the top performing properties right here. When I was doing my market research and had the paid version, I could see that this property was one of the top performing properties. So let's just see what they're doing. Really nothing special. It sleeps several people. Everything's nice, clean, looks good. But nothing, I don't feel like it's anything out of the ordinary. Let's see if we can find a better example. So let's see. Okay, so I like this one right here. So obviously the first thing that sticks out to me, they have a pool. Their pictures aren't that great, but the pool picture does look good. Let's see here. Nothing super special about this place. They got an okay design in the bathroom. I would definitely get better pictures taken. Let's see. I wonder if we can actually find our listing here. Okay, so this one looks like the pictures are actually really nice on this one. So let's see. Nice pictures, good design, nothing that stands out in a major way. But they do have nice pictures. The house is set up nicely, so that could be an option. But I'm looking for things that make these properties stand out, and this is actually a good thing because I haven't seen anything that makes these really stand out yet. So it could be a good option for me to kind of break in and see what offer some things that other people might offer or might not be offering, instead to draw more people to our place. But anyway, long story short, long story long, you want to go on here and see what these properties are doing. Take a look at a few things like this one right here has 8 beds. This one has 8 beds. This one has 4 beds. And you can see what these places are charging versus what this is charging. This sleeps several people. They're able to charge $320 a night, $200 a night. This one has five beds, but they're only charging $150 a night. 7 beds, $200 a night. So I can see that a lot of these top properties here, look at this one, 9 beds. And that's something that I do see that's making these stand out, is they're able to sleep a lot of people. So you have big groups of people coming to Florida, family trips, vacations, things like that. There's also an Air Force base there in Pensacola, so you might get some people that are, coming in to, visit family. So you might need to sleep more people. So now that I figured out that there are houses that sleep a lot of people, and they're just pretty much basic homes, nothing super crazy about these as far as, design or how they're built, or that they're not right on the beach. They just sleep several people. That could be a good thing to go after. So let's just say that I know that we need a property that sleeps several people. So let's just go on Zillow and look, and this is how we actually find the right property, using Zillow and using AirDNA to kind of see if it's going to work. And this is a tool called the Rentalizer that AirDNA has. You can plug in an address, you can put the number of bedrooms and bathrooms and how many you think it's going to sleep, and it's going to spit out a number that it's going to pull data from the listings around it and kind of give you an idea of what you might be able to do with that place. So let's go on to Zillow. Let's type in Pensacola, Florida, and let's see here. So I'm going to put in my criteria for what what we would like to have. So let's just see. We want at least 3 bedrooms because we want to be able to sleep a decent amount of people. 2 bathrooms. If we're going to have a lot of people, we need 2 bathrooms at least. I don't want townhomes. I don't want multifamily. No lots, no apartments, no mobile homes. And let's just take a look. I mean, we don't want anything really less than 100,000 because there's going to be a lot of crappy listings. But let's say our max is 250,000 for the purchase. Let's set it a little higher. Let's set it at like 290. So let's apply that, and that's going to narrow it down a lot for us. And then another thing that I knew I wanted with our property was going to be a pool. Also, we want to hide 55 plus communities. If you're looking in Florida, there are a lot of them. I'd hate for somebody to find a listing and then not be able to buy it because they just simply can't because it's 55 plus community. Let's see. So must have a pool. That's something that we knew we wanted. So this narrows it down a lot for us. And if you're looking in a beach town, if you can afford it, I would probably get a pool as well. But I know that houses in Pensacola that have pools do well. So let's just go through here. And you can kind of see. So which one do I like? This is about the only one that I see that has a pool. So let's just click on this one right here. It's 1,500 square feet. It does have a pool. Looks like it needs some work around it. So this actually might be a good property because it does need a little bit of work and you could get into it for a little bit cheaper. But I want to show you how to actually run the numbers on a place whenever you are looking at properties. So what I'm going to do is copy this address right here. So copy that, and then I'm going to come to so if you just go to Google, you type in AirDNA Rentalizer, you can click on it. This is what comes up. So you copy and paste the street address. You see it pop up there. And what was this? This was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So I would say with 3 bedrooms, we could have the master bedroom that sleeps 2. You got a king bed, sleeps 2 people. Let's say we put a full-size bunk bed in one room, which there's 4, and we've put another queen-size bed in another, so for another 2. So let's put a pull-out couch in the living room. So I know that we want to sleep as many as possible because those are the properties that do the best. So those are a few ways to do that. But let's just say we're going to accommodate 10 people. So let's see what it spits out. So this area looks like it's showing an average daily rate of $183 with an occupancy rate of 60% and an annual revenue of $40,100 pretty much. So this is what it's going to show you when you put properties into the Rentalizer. So I'm going to show you how to actually run an investment analysis. I've got a template here that I'm going to show you how to run an investment analysis based off of these numbers. And this is going to tell you whether it's a good investment or not. And you may actually have to do 100 of these before you find the right property, especially with how high rates are and how high real estate prices are. So my camera actually quit recording after I recorded another, 25, 30 minutes. So that's great. So I'm going to go back over this. Anyway, what I was saying, I'm going to go over an investment analysis of this property, show you if I think it's going to be a good one, and I'll show you an example of ours, what it actually looked like, so I know it's going to be a good investment. So let's just hop in here. I already put all these numbers in. Like I said, I already recorded this. This is me going back over it, but this is how you do an investment analysis of a property once you think you find one that's going to do good. So anyway, so we're going to plug this address into AirDNA's Rentalizer. We can see here that we have an annual revenue, $40,100, average daily rate, $183, with a 60% occupancy rate. And these are going to be your pretty good baseline numbers. So let's look at this right here. So we've got a purchase price, $223,950. Let's see, so show our taxes on here. We'll look at that in a minute. So $223,950. I know that we're doing 10% down, second home loan. you might be doing a regular commercial investment loan, which would be 20% down. So just figure out kind of what your options are before you get this far. So we got a total down payment, $22,395. We got a closing cost of around 3%, just to be conservative. So that just automatically does that for you, $6,700. And then this property is, I mean, it looks pretty updated for the most part. It doesn't look like it needs new floors, no new fencing, no new paint. You're just going to be mostly doing cosmetic stuff. Most of the stuff looks updated in there. You're probably going to be painting walls, changing fixtures, things like that. So you probably put in around $10,000 in the rehab, depending on exactly what you're doing to the property. Excuse me. And how much you think it's going to cost. So this is just an example. And then we've got 3 bedrooms. And a good baseline number is to do $5,000 a bedroom for the furnishing costs. So $15,000 right there. And then another $5,000 for each of the additional common spaces. So like the living room, the kitchen, and the pool area is what I saw in this one. So that's an additional $5,000 for each room. Don't take this too literal. You can definitely do it for cheaper. Because this is showing an estimated cost to furnish the house at $30,000 with a total money invested of just under $70,000. Savannah and I were actually able to furnish and rehab our property for just under $24,000, or just under $25,000, I believe it was. So you can definitely do this cheaper. You just have to do your research on what you're going to do. But this is just kind of a baseline for this. So. Over here, forecasted revenue, this is where you're actually going to put in your numbers that AirDNA gives you. So once you take a look at the rentalizer, average daily rate 183, 60% occupancy, you're going to plug that in right here, and it's going to spit out what your annual revenue is. So $40,077. And then this is all pretty self-explanatory. You're going to go through here, fill out your tax info. So a lot of times you can find the tax info on Zillow. So if you scroll down here to the public tax history, you can see the property taxes, $1,149. So about $100 a month in taxes. So you can just fill that in. And then insurance is going to be a little bit higher. You're in Florida, so you do have, you have to worry about hurricanes. You have to worry about, this place probably wouldn't have to worry about flooding because it's, off the shore quite a bit, but insurance is going to be naturally higher down there. So just remember that if you're investing in a place like Florida or somewhere close to the water. So I did $250 a month on the insurance. And then this is kind of a guessing game, water, electric. I would say these are probably pretty good numbers to go off of. You're going to have to change them, when you, actually buy a place. But like I said, this is just seeing if this investment's going to work in general. These things probably aren't going to change too much when it comes to if it's going to be a good investment or not. Future repairs, you're not going to have long-term tenants in here. Airbnb does cover a lot of things that guests damage, but these are going to be things like a new roof, new hot water heater, new HVAC, and those are things to consider when buying a place, is how long it's going to be before you have to replace those things. Pest control, I kind of lumped a few things in here. So our pest guy comes once a quarter, and it's $90 every time he sprays, so that's $30 a month. And then I just figured in a couple extra things in here, like our pool service. This place has a pool. I know our pool guy charges us $150 a month. And then I just added a couple extra costs on top of there just to figure in some extra padding. Landscaping, I don't live in Florida. I'm going to have somebody mow this place. I put $200 in for the month. It might be cheaper than that, might be a little bit more. I'd say that's probably a pretty good baseline. This is going to be your property management systems and your dynamic pricing, which we have. There are flies everywhere. I don't know what's going on. So $27 a month for Guesty, $20 a month for Price Labs. Money well worth it. I'm going to do them. You don't have to do them, but highly recommend it. And then city permit. Pensacola doesn't have one, but if the city you're investing in has a permit and they charge an annual fee for it, be sure and figure that in. Divide the total fee by 12 to get, how much that monthly cost is to you. So this gives you your annual operating cost down here. And then the last thing that you're going to do, and I already filled it in here, but you're going to click on this mortgage calculator, and you can go right over here and put in everything. So purchase price $223,950. We're putting 10% down, 30-year loan, and I know we've got a 7.125 on the rate, so this is going to spit out a monthly payment of $1,570, which you can see I've already put in right here. So there's going to be your annual debt service, $18,840. And then this is where you're going to be able to determine whether it's a good investment or not. So you see right here, we've got our cash flow, which is $303. Not very good. An annual cash flow of $36. Now $300 on a long-term rental, if somebody's got a tenant in there with a 12-month lease, really not bad. But this is Airbnb. We want a little bit more cash flow if we're gonna do something with it. And then cash on cash return at 5.25%. That's not a very good cash on cash return. You shouldn't be doing deals less than 20% cash on cash return. And then total return on investment. This figures in a couple things. We bought this house for what is the purchase price? $223,950. We think it might be worth $250,000 after the repairs that we did to it. So there's a little bit of appreciation there. And then the natural appreciation, it's got a 3% annual. This is just due to the market appreciating. The market is making your house increase in value, so we figured this in there when it comes to total return on investment. So 3%, so $7,500. This time next year is what my house is going to be worth, or it's going to be $7,500 more than it was worth at this time this year. And then your principal pay down. You'll have to look at an amortization chart. I think this is around what this would be, $1,802. So this gives you your total return on investment. So this is not a good deal. This is not a deal that I would do. Like I said, you might have to do 100 of these before you find a deal that's going to work. But I do want to show you the investment analysis of our property that I did. And I used AirDNA's premium subscription to get a little bit better numbers. I would recommend doing that when you find a market that you like, because you can get a better idea of what your property is going to do. So I'll just breeze through this here. I kind of made it easy to look at. We had a purchase price, $250,000. We put 10% down, and actually the sellers, we convinced them to do $13,000 in credits. So they were covering $10,000 in closing costs, and they were offering a $3,000 flooring credit because some of the carpet in the bedrooms was pretty rough. So total $13,000 credit. So we actually only put down $19,800 and some change. And then we did a lot of the work ourselves. So we were actually able to rehab the property, which we did new paint, new floors. We finished out the garage. We just did a lot of cosmetic updates. Nothing major. We didn't knock down any walls or frame anything, but it was mostly cosmetic, and most of the house was dark wood paneling. We painted it all white, brightened the place up a lot. So we were actually able to rehab and furnish the property for just under $25,000. And I just put it down here, total money invested of $45,000. Now, the forecasted revenue, you can see here, $370 a night is what our average was going to be. Our house sleeps 14 guests. I knew it was going to sleep 14 guests. So $370 a night, 55% occupancy, just to kind of be conservative on the occupancy rate. So an annual revenue of $74,278. And then our monthly operating expenses I put in here. Obviously, I have a lot better idea of those now that we own the property. So these are actually accurate. So we have an annual operating expense of just over $20,000. And then our monthly principal and interest, $1,534. These two are added up to get our total operating expense. And down here you can see our monthly cash flow, $29.84 and $35.809 annually. So much better cash flow than the last example. And then if you scroll on over here, you can see our total cash on cash return. I said I wouldn't do a deal under 20%. This is an exceptional deal. at just an 80% cash on cash return in the first year. So that means the money that we put in, our cash flow is almost paying us completely back for it in the first year. So 80% of our initial investment. And then I think the house is worth probably about $285 now. It could be worth more. So we bought it for $250, and this is why I am a big fan of the Airbnb method. Missed it. And so we added what I think about $35,000 in equity to the property. And then you have the natural appreciation at 3% and the principal pay down, which gave us a total return on investment in our first year of 102,000 or 102%. Obviously, this is a projection. We'll look back at the end of our first year and see what it was actually at. So this is what a good investment looks like. And you might have to go through a bunch of these, as I've said, to find a good investment. And this is why I think that finding a property that needs some work is the best way to do it. Not only can you buy it for cheaper, you can increase the value of it through the rehab, and it's kind of a blank canvas. You can change things and set it up the way that you want to set it up, rather than buying a turnkey property where you don't change anything. It is just the way it is. Not that that's a bad investment. If you have the money to do that and you can buy a place that's got great design already, then maybe that's something you should do. But the Airbnb method is going to be in my opinion, the best way to maximize your return on your investment. So I know this was a long one, but this is how you actually find properties on Airbnb that you know are going to be a good investment. I've included a link to the investment analysis template that I use in the description. I'll actually be releasing my own here before long, so keep a lookout for that. There's also a link to AirDNA in the description below. This is an affiliate link, so if you do click on it and you sign up for AirDNA and you end up getting one of their subscription plans, AirDNA does pay me a commission for it, so it does help me out. If you want to use that, perfect. If not, just go to Google, check them out. And I hope this helps somebody. I know it's a long video, but I tried to go into as much depth as possible without sitting here for 3 hours and going through everything. So if you guys did like it or got any value out of it, I do appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in the next one.